Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today we're back with cartographer and author Isaac Dishku. Hey, Isaac, welcome back.
Hey, good to be here.
Good to have you. And today I want to discuss social media with you. So, what social media strategies do you typically use to create content that consistently engages with a large audience?
Well, a lot of my content doesn't engage with a large audience, so you have to be okay with that. A lot of it's going to fail. Um, but there's, a lot of different strategies. Ultimately, I don't post because I feel compelled to post.
Mm,
So a lot of people stick to like a really rigid schedule, and when you do that, the quality of your post can go down. But if you post when you really have something interesting to share, I think that's a good way to do it. Don't post to keep to some imaginary schedule. Post when you feel like you have something that will be of value to other people.
I think that's a great point because you get kind of different perspectives on that where,
Mhm.
everybody says you got to post daily, you got to post daily. And if you have a community, perhaps, but that and you're more like a blogger, but if you're
Yeah.
specifically creating content for your business, you want to make sure each one is 100% high quality. So that is a great point. When you do post, what time of the day do you typically post?
Yeah. So a lot of it is kind of like black magic where it's not super clear what actually is going on with the algorithm. And so you
Mhm.
kind of just have to create your own rituals. And so my ritual is that I've always posted exactly at noon, um, Mountain Standard Time. So like, in Utah and stuff. I always do it at noon. And I'm superstitious if I do it at 12:01 or 12:59. And I really actually believe that's superstition. Like we don't actually know how consistent, like how important the time is, but I don't want to test it. I just do it at noon every time.
Okay, that's great. And it helps because it holds you accountable too for, okay, this post is going out today. I'm not going to forget about it because I always post it at the same time. Now, what device do you typically use to film your videos on?
Yeah, so I just use my phone. I have a Google Pixel phone, which I guess nobody has. Everyone's on iPhone. Um, and that was like kind of a pain, always has been, until I fell, and I'm not sponsored or anything, but the like tripod, they have this, it's called Canvas. It's the special like phone tripod thing.
Hmm.
And uh it's super expensive and it just like changed the game for me. So not sponsored by them, but that's what I use. I use a special like phone holding tripod called Canvas, and it's helped me a ton just to be hands-free and be able to draw and stuff like that.
Okay, great. We'll have to check that out. And how important is the sound in your videos?
So bizarrely, my experience is that it hasn't been super important, which that sounds counterintuitive, but like when I've used like trending audio versus when I've used zero audio at all,
Uh-huh.
where it's like literally like white noise,
Hmm.
I have not noticed the difference. And so
Interesting.
for me, I mean, I can only just speak to my own experience, but I like purchased an expensive, not an expensive, but I purchased like a small little mic and just to make the audio clear because it bugged me, and I saw no discernible difference between the reactions or views or anything like that. So I just what I've decided now is like, well, if I can't tell if there's any difference, then I'm going to do the easier thing. So
Right.
none of my videos have music. None of my videos use a mic. So it just it just hasn't mattered to me. Like I have never noticed a difference.
But I also know that you do some voiceovers, or maybe you're
Mhm.
speaking during the writing. Can you speak a little bit on how you record that, or whether it is voiceover or you speak in
Yeah.
real time?
Yeah. So, and that's something I have kind of trial and error. So I film myself drawing, and then I take that, I speed it up like crazy, and I remove the audio entirely because it's sped up. It just sounds horrible.
Hmm.
And then while I have it on my laptop, I get my iPad or my phone or whatever, and I write a script, and then I just read it. And
Mm,
like I generally try to keep it in sync with the video, but I don't
right.
stress too hard about it because I take that audio file, specifically on my iPad, and then you airdrop it to yourself, and then you use iMovie and you put the audio down and you cut out all the white noise and put it together. And so a lot of people don't know that you can do that. But yeah, you don't have to be filming and commenting the entire time because then you just like, oh shucks, I have to go back and refilm. Just, film it all, remove all the audio, get your phone or iPad or whatever, record the audio, mess up as many times as you want, chop out the parts where you've messed up, and then overlay it onto the video.
Right. That's a great idea. And what device do you use to record your audio? Are you just with a mic when you go back over or your phone?
So so I just use I used to use a mic, but I just use my iPad. And the only thing I do sound engineering wise is I try to keep the iPad in the exact same place while I'm speaking, and I try to keep my face in the same place because, as you're recording, if you turn, to the side, you'll have like a total quiet spot. And you're like, oh, dang it. So just those small things where it's like, try to keep your face in the exact direction and then try to keep it the proportionate distance so that there's some consistency with the videos.
Right. That's a great point. And on the note of just engaging with your followers, could you share any tips on converting your social media followers into loyal customers of your maps?
Yeah, so I'm maybe a bit of like a different situation. So I have a lot of followers on Instagram and I sell all my artwork. And a lot of people, especially independent artists, they will grow their Instagram first and turn those people into customers.
Mm,
Um, Mine was the opposite. So I started off as a company selling artwork, and I've been consistently paying for ads. And so my following has largely grown from people seeing the ads, purchasing the maps, and then following me.
mm.
And so a lot of my followers, not all my followers, but a lot of my followers are actually customers first.
Now, what ads were you doing?
Yeah, so I mean, I've tried it all.
Hmm.
The most effective platform by a long shot is Meta. So Facebook and Instagram. They don't differentiate when you run the ads. Um, and that has been so much better for us than TikTok, than Pinterest, than Google. And if it's something interesting, not only do you get sales, but people will also follow you. And so it's directly proportionate to how much we spend per day, how many followers I get. So it's not as nice and satisfying to just like get a ton of followers organically just because you're awesome. But running ads, it works for some people and doesn't work for others. And then the nice addition, the nice perk is that you get followers too.
Right. I mean, I think it's the reality of living in such a saturated market, especially on social media, where,
Totally.
you want to push hard for your business. You're going to run some ads at some point in time here and test them
Yeah.
out. And lastly, Isaac, I want to ask, what is the best way that you engage with the followers and, the customers once you get them?
So I'm a big believer that if you are a beginner and maybe you're incompetent, which I am and everyone is, focus super hard on customer service. Just like, you might have some mess up, you might send them the wrong thing, you might, whatever, a million things are going to happen because you're not a pro. And so I pay for a customer service, but I also, I respond to almost every single direct message I get. I respond to almost all the comments, and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because if someone has a bad experience with you and you are like, oh my goodness, let me help you, let me replace it, they're immediately like your best friend. Like they're like, oh, well, it's actually not that big of a deal. And
Right.
like,
Right.
so, but if you do nothing, that's the worst possible thing you can do, especially for a small business. Like if you
Mhm.
ignore the customers that have had an issue with shipping or whatever, it's you're toast. Like it's not a good thing to do. It's happened a few times, but someone will leave a review where they're like, this was for a birthday and it never arrived, or when it did arrive, it was completely destroyed. You know, this is a horrible company, XYZ. And I respond and I'm like, holy smokes, like, hey, we have a replacement policy. We're going to send you a new one. They will delete their review.
Oh, that's
So
great.
or delete their bad comment because they're like, you know, you feel embarrassed if you're super angry and the person's like, oh, well, we'll just help you out. Like we'll make this
Right.
right. And that's you know, that's worth it. Even though if you do have to replace the item, like it's worth it to have that person, you know, delete that review and then also speak highly of you and be like, okay, well that was, you know, they made it right.
I think you would pay for it more if you didn't cater to them, and then you lose those sales from people popping up and seeing
Yeah.
that as the most recent review than you would if you went ahead and lost the extra map you sent them or extra
Sure.
product to one person.
Right.
If you think
Right.
about it long
Exactly.
term, logistically.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, Isaac, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on social media.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's interview with cartographer and author Isaac Dishku. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.